Arkansas State and Texas State combined for 6 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and the game comes down to a missed extra point. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. All right, hopefully everybody had an enjoyable weekend. The moving has begun, as you can see, and I have way too much of that stuff. Oh, my goodness. And I have some pretty good bottles, if I do say so myself. All right, Troy wins the belt back from South Alabama in what was an instant classic, and App State hangs on for a solid 27-23 win over the Beavers. We'll see how many other games we get to. Only kind of half a schedule in the Sun Belt. ODU with an easy win, and JMU not with such an easy win. But Arkansas State stuns Texas State, and it was really interesting. We're going to get to the reaction first, because a lot of the reaction was GJ Kinne's already out the door. He's already worried about the other jobs, which not really, right? That's not the case, right? He's not taking the job until after the season. It was a 10-10 ball game until neither team could stop either one. And the only reason Texas State lost is because they missed an extra point. I would wonder about the game manager. I didn't see any press conference afterwards. Probably should have looked first. But is there any thought, and this is hindsight because obviously it wouldn't have worked because they would have missed a field goal. Do you play game manager there and take time off the clock and try to win it on the last play of the game, or ish, make them use their timeouts? I don't know. But it was, that was a heck of a ball game. And I do consider it a major upset. Arkansas State had not beaten an FBS team this year. They got one win over Southeast Missouri. That's it. They didn't look good against Arkansas. Had shots against Iowa State. A couple bad calls. I get it. Looked bad early against Kennesaw State. Jumped on top of ULM 10-0, but then sees ULM score 28 of the next 34 points. They were more than a 2-touchdown underdog at home. And Texas State's lone ball game this year was Arizona State, where turnover turned the game, and that was all she wrote. But otherwise, Texas State's looked pretty good. And there was no reason to believe that all of a sudden Arkansas State would turn it on, and yet they did. Jaylen Raynor takes the final 75 yards in, 53 seconds? He caps it off with a 4-yard touchdown run. He had a fantastic game. Jaylen Raynor, 27 of 35, 248 yards, 2 touchdowns. Scored 2 touchdowns on the ground, had 19 carries, 92 yards. So he was the leading passer and the leading rusher. All right. Not to be outdone, Brad Jackson for Texas State had a fantastic ball game. 18 out of 26, 1 touchdown in the air. Ran for 131 yards on 10 carries, 1 touchdown. Half of those were after Arkansas State tied it at 24. That's when Brad Jackson did basically a QB draw and ran 64 yards. Now, it's tough to tell by the angle, but one of the Arkansas State defenders did trip over the official. I'm not sure if he would have been able to make the tackle, but he certainly tripped over the official trying to get by him. And so instead of taking some time off the clock, which again, obviously Schultz, it wouldn't have worked because they missed the extra point. I understand that. But somewhere along the way, game management, time management has to be part of this. Now, you want to make the argument, well, they needed a touchdown, not a field goal. Fair enough. That's a better argument than what actually happened. Because you don't think they're going to go down the field in a minute. going down the field to get in line for a field goal attempt in a minute, that's much different than trying to go down and score a touchdown. And so as much as the extra point did end the game for Texas State, their defense didn't do much either. It would have been interesting to see, again, something we could ask. They don't have to think about it, but I'm sure they were thinking about it when they scored the touchdown. Are we going to go for 2 if we score? Wondering when that comes into play. For example, the Denver Broncos did that on Sunday. That's how they end up winning the football game, plus field goal. But as I mentioned, Butch Jones isn't going anywhere. That's a big win for them. These kind of wins always, these kind of losses always seem to find GJ Kinne. I'm not sure there was a decision in there outside of game management, and that's, to me, I think it's big, but probably rather ticky-tacky. Everybody's going to probably do the same thing. But I don't think there was a decision. Some of the Texas State fans did not like the play calling. All right. I don't understand how you don't like the play calling. Scoring 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Play calling had to be working somewhere. And so these kind of games, they've lost Arkansas State before in Jonesboro. They should have beaten the Cajuns the last 2 years. They always seem to trip over themselves. Why that is, I don't know, right? Trying to get it to the next level. For example, JMU's tripped over themselves last year a few times, having double-digit leads, but they could have tripped over themselves against Georgia State, and they grinded out a win. They very easily could have lost that ball game, and yet they somehow managed to come out on top. All right. Again, I think GJ Kinne's done a great job. He's lifted the standard at Texas State, right? This loss is unacceptable. If this was, a few years ago, it'd be same old Texas State. But it does seem that he has some excruciating losses over there in San Marcos, although this game was in Jonesboro. And we'll see if it heats up. We got Mark Stoops is either walking away or not walking away. Wanted to walk away last year here at UK, says he doesn't want to. Is there a meeting today with Mitch Barnhart, the AD? And of course, if that opens up, then John Summerall is going to be the leading candidate for that one. But Billy Napier saves his job at Florida for the time being. All of a sudden, Ricky Ronnie's name is being put out there as potential Power 4 coach. Why wouldn't Virginia Tech consider Ricky Ronnie? Right? So the coaching carousel will get going in a big way. And we'll see if one of these teams, Arkansas, Virginia Tech, make their decisions early, all right, or fast. Are you still coaching while you're going to the other team? I'm not sure I'd want that to be the case. That it's tough enough doing that, trying to get a staff together. I wonder if they would say he's going to finish up there. I don't like that idea. If you want to miss this conference championship game or the bowl game, okay, but we'll see what happens. All right. I would presume some of these places are not going to wait. They're going to want who they want. And when they decide on that, we'll see how this plays out. All right. Some openings have become, UCLA is open. All right. So we will see what goes on. All right. Let's take a timeout. Troy with a big win. Instant classic. They get the belt back. South Alabama trying to win back-to-back belts for the first time in a decade. They're going to have to wait another decade or at least 2 more years before they can string together a pair of wins. We'll do that after I tell you about Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with a brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. I love how Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks your reps, suggests the right weights, and corrects your form, making every rep safer and smarter. The swivel screen, is a game changer. You can go from running on the Tread Plus to strength training without missing a beat. And the personalized class recommendations keep you engaged. You get workouts tailored to your vibe and energy level each week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. This is one of the stranger statistical ball games you'll ever see. This was 31-24 Troy as they defeat South Alabama in the battle for the belt. Troy now 3-2, by the way. Jaguars fall to 1-5. Ouch. Ouch. Bishop Davenport gets outpassed by Tucker Kilgrease. In fact, he gets outpassed and outgained by Tucker Kilgrease. Tucker Kilgrease, 13-21, 203 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Also ran 19 times for 102 yards and 1 touchdown. Bishop Davenport, 10 out of 15, 104 yards in the air. Yeesh. 2 touchdowns. Ran 72 yards, 15 carries, did have a touchdown. So both quarterbacks had 3 touchdowns. But somehow the South Alabama Jaguars, who did not turn the ball over compared to Troy's 2 times, rushed for 265 yards. I would love, I don't know where you'd find that statistic. I'd love to find somebody, I don't care that's overtime, it was 1 overtime, rushed for 265 yards, no turnovers, and lost the ball game. I mean, you got to be looking at Air Force or Navy or Army, something like that, because you're not going to find too many offenses like that rush for 265 yards and lose the ball game and not turn it over. So Troy goes down, scores right away, makes it 31-24. Jaguars looked like they were going at it and they were going to do it. And Davenport got tripped up behind the line of scrimmage. So they went to 2nd and 12 and had to go for it on 4th down at like 4th and 5. Like he tried to convert a 3rd and 7 and got like 2 yards on a QB draw. And then he threw it too far. I'd say past. This is not going to. Oh, there it is. Javon Henderson. Is that who it was? Let's see. He just missed it. Incomplete. I was a Javon Henderson. Yeah. So probably should have caught it. Maybe been a little bit behind him. Still got to catch it. And Troy wins this ball game again, 31-24. Again, Troy's got some crazy victories, right? Like 28 points against Nichols in the 4th quarter, 21 points after being down to Buffalo. And in this one, this was a good football game, right? They both started out scoring on their first possession, 7-7. Troy made it 14-7 at halftime. South Alabama, did they take the lead? Yeah, they took the lead 17-14, but Troy came right back, made it 21-14 and or 21-17 and didn't trail again. Some South Alabama fans not liking the lack of aggressiveness. South Alabama had a minute and a half and I guess 3 timeouts and ran the ball. That's very strange. I get it. You want to be careful with it, but also that's very strange. You usually don't see that at all. All right. But we know that was one I got right. I didn't get too many right this past weekend, but I think I picked Troy because I just don't think South Alabama can stop a runny nose at these days. So unfortunately, that's how they lost the ball game because I give you how much they had, 265 yards rushing. Troy had 217. South Alabama had 369 yards. Total offense, Troy had 420. Do we want to take a stab? That's the most they've had this year. 420. They played Nichols, and and they had 416. Nichols, they had 416. Let's see here. Clemson, not going to have that many, right? They had 301. All right. Let's see here. Memphis, not going to be a whole lot. They lost 28-7. Troy had a total of 112 yards. Memphis is undefeated. They could be playoff bound. Buffalo, where they got all their yards in the fourth quarter, Troy had 365 yards. And I think that's it, right? So the most yards that Troy's had this year is against South Alabama's defense. Yeesh. Not great, Bob. All right, we do have time for an additional score here. Well, let me just take it on the chin. I prefaced this by let's talk Monroe Northwestern, that I always get caught up into this because Northwestern is generally playing Power 4 schools, although not really, and they haven't looked very good this year. And it was 7-7 at the end of one, and then that was all she wrote. 42-7. Northwestern rolls. Aiden Armenta was 10 of 19, 129 yards and a touchdown. By the way, on a side note, did you see it would have been Troy's quarterback last year, Caldwell, came in for Arch Manning and completed like 3rd and 24 or something like that. Came in one play because Manning's helmet came off. Caldwell comes in, first down, Manning goes back out there. Just a side note. All right. Anyways, Aiden Armenta, 10 out of 19, 129 yards and a touchdown. Hunter Herring and Landon Graves did go in there. Braylon McReynolds bottled up 8 carries, 49 yards. Again, offensively, 273 yards isn't going to get it done. And Northwestern puts up 515 yards. Preston Stone had a good ball game, right? 20 out of 31, 262 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. The guy's thrown 6 interceptions this year and none in this ball game. No, he didn't turn the ball over, or he didn't get any turnovers, and you couldn't get anything going offensively after the first score, and that was about it. So still gonna not look at that too closely. They get Troy next. That's at home. Oh no, I think they get Coastal Carolina next. And then they host Troy. It's going to be interesting to see who's favored there. Coastal Carolina is not very good. They took one on the chin against ODU. ODU is good. We'll see. That'll be a big win. You know, ULM beat Arkansas State in Monroe. Let's see them go on the road and try and take a team down. All right? Let's see them go on a road and take a team down, regardless of who it is. All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up with the App State win over Oregon State right after I tell you about Square and FanDuel. This episode is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There's certain businesses that make the neighborhood the neighborhood. These are places that become an extension of home, whether it's a sports bar dedicated to your team's fan base, the spot with the best wings in town for game day, or that beloved local chain that's been rooted in your community for years. These businesses are what bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. I just got a local moving company. They use Square. I'm hoping they work out. They're alpha movers. Veterans. I like that. We'll see how that goes because the move here to Louisville was brutal. This is up the street. Can't be too bad. And I'm going to have most of the stuff moved out anyways. All they got to do is move the furniture. Should be easy peasy. We'll see. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/LockedOnCollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. And FanDuel. NFL season is here. It certainly is. And FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during games. Makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. All right, Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. I think we said this was a must-win for App State. They're hosting 0-5 Oregon State. They went to J.J. Cole, and he played okay. Right? We're not going to win the Heisman after this performance, 13 out of 28, 218 yards. But the big number, 0 interceptions. That's the big number, the big goose egg. All right. Also didn't fumble. No turnovers for App State. Rashad Dubinion, 19 carries, 98 yards, more than 5 yards carry, scored a touchdown. J.J. Cole did rush for a touchdown. Davian Dozier, 4 catches, 140 yards. Gotta like that. Dalton Stroman, 2 catches, 48 yards. And how about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different receivers catching footballs? Guy making his first start this year. It's pretty good. Maybe his first start in a minute. Came from Iowa State. And the stadium was packed. They got 61 on the hill honoring former coach Sean Clark. It was a scene. It was a good scene. And that's a nice win. They got off to a great start, leading 17-0. Kind of blew that because it was 17-14 at half. But they did a good job. It is going to be a process. Let's admit that. All right. But they are halfway home to a bowl game, right? Halfway home to a bowl game. And so who do they got? Let's see who they got. They get Coastal at home. They get Georgia State. They're at Georgia State. And we found out that's not going to be terribly easy. All right. Then they get Coastal. They got Georgia Southern. They got Old Dominion. Georgia Southern is sandwiched in between Old Dominion and James Madison. Then you get Marshall and Arkansas State at home. Can we find 3 more wins? Georgia State's a winnable ball game. Coastal is a winnable ball game. Georgia Southern is a winnable ball game. And then you got Marshall and Arkansas State at home. There's no reason they can't go bowling, honestly. All right, you lose to Old Dominion at James Madison. Those are your 2 hardest games, along with Boise State for the season, and those are on the road. But take care of business at home. Even if you somehow don't beat Georgia State, you still got Coastal, Georgia Southern, Marshall, and Arkansas State. Do those teams have more talent than App State? Probably. Are they better? Not necessarily. Not necessarily at all. So I think that's a nice win for Dowell Loggins over at App State. Not dominating by any stretch of the imagination, but even if you lost by 4, that's a bad loss. That's how nice that win is. That's a nice win. All right. And we'll see if they stay with J.J. Cole, because, again, they didn't turn the ball over at all. And that's how they lost some ball games. You got to stop giving it to the other team. That is the one statistic across all of football that is, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 80%. Team that wins a turnover margin wins the game. South Alabama notwithstanding. No, that's usually the way that it goes. No. I do want to dive into, we'll do the rest of the games for Tuesday's episode, but I also wanted to dive into this, give you a preview. We'll start talking about it now. Have you guys heard coaches or players talking about, we just didn't have any energy to start the game? I heard that from Baker Mayfield, who, again, had a sensational ball game and beat Seattle on Sunday. But he said against Philadelphia, we didn't come out with the right energy. They had more energy than us. I've heard that from James Franklin. Penn State against UCLA, and Matt Campbell from Iowa State against Cincinnati. How, when you were playing 12 games, you play once a week, you might play twice in 7 days, or you may have a week off. I need to understand how you don't bring the energy playing college football. Now, I do understand sometimes it's not quite as easy, right? We've talked about that odd home field advantage in a reverse way before Brian Vincent got there, that you would have to bring your own energy to ULM. Because usually on the road, you can feed off the energy of the crowd, right? And you can get a loud crowd quiet and you feed off that energy. That's different. And so maybe a little bit more difficult doing that against ULM. But football is once a week. You practice, I don't know about in college. In the pros, you practice twice a week, right? If you're lucky, you do it 3 times a week in college. That's it. It's not baseball. Forget about college baseball, but pros, you play every day. You play more games in a month in baseball than you do, well, even in college. Play more games in a month than football plays all season. It's not the NBA or the NHL. We're playing about 80 games a season. And if you can't bring it each and every day, I mean, the ones who do make the Hall of Fame or all-stars. All right. To me, and I want to know what you guys think, seems like an easy excuse to explain why we got our asses kicked in the first quarter, half of the game. We didn't bring enough energy. Well, that's how? Why? Are they not excited to play football? I was the 13th man on a 12-man JV basketball team. I was excited for the game. Wasn't going to play, but I was excited to be there. So I don't understand how they're not excited. We'll talk more about this. And you just watch the teams that lose and get off to bad starts. And that just seems to be, to me, that is the definition of being outplayed and outcoached. When you say we didn't bring enough energy, this is not game 140 of 162 and whatever happened. I can tell you when I traveled for baseball, it wasn't the next day that got me or that day. Like we would get in from a road trip in Jacksonville at 6 a.m. or whatever it was, 5 a.m., get to bed at 6, sleep for a few hours, do the game. That would be running on adrenaline. It'd be the next day where I would have no energy. Like not lack of energy. I was just tired. I was just exhausted. And it was nice I had a partner at home, Cole Pepper, and he was easy to lean on because he was a great announcer and a good friend. And these guys trying to play the game, I wasn't even trying to play a game. I was just tired. So I can only imagine what that's like for a ball player. And so we'll see. I just don't understand it with football. And now they're complaining. The Big Ten coaches are complaining about travel. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. As if James Franklin is catching a connecting flight from State College to Chicago going to LA. You got a direct flight. Is anybody doing anything other on that flight than sleeping? Come on. Travel. That's about as lame excuse as I want to hear. Travel. These guys flying charter across the country talking about travel. That is bad. All right. So I don't understand those two things. We'll talk more about that on Tuesday's episode. Probably say the same thing, but that was the kind of gnawing at me. It's a great sports talk topic. Why these coaches complain about their team. They do take responsibility. They do say that because we didn't have enough energy, that's on me. I got to do a better job coaching. But these guys are all pumped up coming out of the tunnel, right? We don't think that Mike Desimo and the Cajuns were pumped. New stadium, new quarterback, hometown kid. He laid an egg against Rice. Did they not have enough energy? Come on. I don't buy that. That I don't believe. All right. Have you seen his videos? I mean, he's really subdued on the sideline for the most part. Kind of quiet, low-key guy. He gets really pumped up. He gets the team pumped up. So, yeah, I don't buy that whole we didn't bring enough energy. Come on, stop. That's a lame excuse. Let me know what you guys think. We'll talk about it more on Tuesday. We'll see if I hear any of that excuse. Again, you can go back and see James Franklin said it for Penn State. Matt Campbell said it for Iowa State. And Baker Mayfield said it after the Philadelphia loss. All right. Because they all got, I don't know about Iowa State, but Tampa Bay got blitzed. And so did Penn State, obviously, to begin the game. It just doesn't make sense to me. Okay. Again, we should have an episode all week. Not the full move isn't until Friday. And so I won't have to worry about it. And hopefully we will have internet ready to go so I can have a Monday episode the following week. But I'm literally moving down the street like 3 blocks. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know what you guys think about the games. We'll get to ODU and JMU a little bit more, well, if at all, on Tuesday. All right. Thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for the support. We're continuing to grow. So off to another great start this month. You guys are enjoying the quick YouTube videos. And when it's an early game, we can get the recap in, especially when I'm not working on Sunday. When it's a late game, I got to get to bed. All right. And when it's going to go double overtime, I definitely got to get to bed. Thanks again for tuning in. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Hope you had a good weekend and enjoy your Monday. We'll talk to you again on Tuesday.